George Richfeld, and I'm one of the facilitators for this series. Unfortunately, my co-facilitator, Bert Rothman, is not here this evening. There's an illness in the family. He's going to try and be here later, but he does send his best. As you know, we've had quite an exciting series, and tonight is the culmination of that series with a wonderful speaker and a tremendous human being. I'll introduce him to you in a few minutes. As you know, we have some guidelines, and I'd like to explain those to you. What we're going to do is we're going to have the speaker give his presentation about beyond tolerance towards understanding, and during his speech, you will all have cards where you'll be able to write down some questions. We will then proceed at the end of his presentation, and you'll all have a chance. Well, that's not true, not all of you. Some of you will have a chance to ask questions, unless you want to stay here till midnight. So, it brings me great pleasure to introduce Iqbal Nik Qideh. Iqbal was born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan. He went to school run by a Jesuit priest from Ireland. The same school has graduated current Pakistani President General Musharraf and Indian Minister L.K. Advani. Iqbal comes from a family that counts among them many religious scholars. His family runs one of the oldest Muslim schools of theology in India. His dad was a religious scholar and helped shape much of his thinking. He, like the majority of the world Muslims, is not an Arab. He is a Sunni Muslim, which is also 90% of the Muslims in the world. Iqbal came to the United States via Fullerton in 1971 to pursue higher education. In the process, he helped found the Islamic Society of Orange County, which is also one of the biggest and most active Islamic societies in the USA. He also was active in the Islamic Center of Northridge in the 80s and was founding board member of the Islamic Center of Conejo Valley on Borchard Road. Iqbal has had a long relationship with this temple. He joined other clergy about a decade ago when a deranged individual tried to burn our temple. He also joined us in the first Iraqi war when we had 3 prayer sessions in cooperation with Holy Trinity Church, in which over 600 people prayed together. He also was our guest for the groundbreaking of this building, as well as a guest during our services after 9/11. Iqbal will try to tell you about Islam and Muslims, and about understanding this fast-growing religion which has so many followers. He has asked that the issues of the Middle East and other political issues not be talked about tonight, keeping with the spirit of the series, but he would like to come back and have a discussion workshop to try to come to some understanding and solution about the misery that we see in the Middle East. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Iqbal Nik Qideh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. I started by seeking refuge from Satan and beginning by invoking the name of God, who is most beneficial, most merciful. I want to thank George, Rabbi Greenbaum, the committee, and the whole congregation of Temple Adat Elohim for this wonderful series. I want to ask a question that was asked by some of the other speakers before me. How many people here are coming to the series for the first time? Oh, that's great. And how many attended 3 or more? Okay, so we have almost an equal number of both. I'm also one of those lucky ones that came to the first talk by Rabbi Dubois in a smaller room. There were so many people that they moved us over here to this larger facility. And I was also very lucky to come on Monday and listen to the interfaith dialogue between Christians and Jews. There were 2 priests, and Rabbi Greenbaum and Rabbi Johnson. and it was really a wonderful program. I'm a moderate person, and I have friends on all over the spectrum, and it's indeed a pleasure that I have a friend, Jack Davis here, who's a Jew, but he's a non-practicing Jew. And I have some others who are critical thinkers that are friends, but one of them attended several of the meetings, but he was not able to come. They were not able to come tonight, but Jack is here. And on Monday, they talked about, the clergy talked about, I'm not clergy, I'm just a layperson that's involved in the faith, like so many of you are. And the wonderful thing about Monday's dialogue was the fun that we had and the jokes that they cracked. And one of the Jacks sends me 5 to 6 jokes a day by email. And one of the jokes, it's not really a joke, but you look at it whatever way you like. I attended the Seventh-day Adventist call for Armageddon. They have a lecture series going on, and went to the Seventh-day Adventist church on Gainsborough, and they have little pockets just like you have, and I took the little pamphlet, and not only do they take 10% of the gross income for tidings, but they asked for 5 or 6 other accounts, so which comes to about 20 to 25% of the income that the good Seventh-day Adventists give to the Lord. And so Jack told me that he really believes that we should really be very nice to the God, to the Lord, because without that we couldn't have no income. And so he says, I'm very fair. I just throw up all the money in the air and say, oh Lord, whatever you want, even everything, it's all yours. And he's so nice, or she's so nice, that most of it falls down and they're free to spend it. In fact, almost on a serious note, on Monday, they were discussing that the Messiah was coming back, and they had heard that he was outside the gates of the city, and there was a big debate, almost to the point of blows between Christians and Jews, because the Christians said that this is Jesus coming back, but the Jews said, no, this is actually the Messiah that we have been waiting for. Our Messiah is coming, so we are going to have celebrations. Until some wise person said, why get so upset about a little thing like this? How about letting the Messiah speak for himself? He's almost here. So when he came, they presented the mic to him and said, we have this dilemma. Are you Jesus returning, or are you the Messiah that was taught to the Jews? And the Messiah scratched his head and he said, you know, it's been so long, I don't really remember. And so that's the spirit with which I want to start this dialogue, in that we sometimes take religion too seriously. We also get tied to my faith is right and your faith is not, etc. We are all God's children. And I would like to thank Bill Gates. I had a laptop, Faryal is sitting over here. We spent a lot of time, we have some wonderful PowerPoint presentations, but Windows 98 is not compatible with Windows 2000, etc. So I cannot take advantage of technology. So I've been told to speak slowly. If I go too fast and you cannot understand the accent, just do something and I will understand and try to go slower. You're wondering what is Islam? I will try to go into the fundamentals, and then maybe I will talk a little bit about at a higher level. George and Rabbi Greenbaum, as you know, have agreed to continue this dialogue. In fact, this is a picture from the Chronicle, which used to be called the News Chronicle, from 1991. And that's me over here. I cannot show you because of the PowerPoint problems. I can still smell. I came next door, I believe, where the old prayer hall used to be, after this deranged person tried to set fire to it. And it was nice to see that Rabbi Gary Johnson, who was here Monday. He was there with me, and what I was telling Mr. Rabbi Greenbaum is that a lot of his colleagues are retiring, and so Mr. Rabbi Pasco, as well as the Holy Lutheran minister who did really great deeds, has retired also. And so I will be glad to take some questions on the Middle East issue, or maybe try to talk about jihad, but I want to not get into, I do have a couple of questions that were given, and the spirit of this series, which is going to end tonight hopefully, is about finding similarities and trying to move the dialogue forward. In the end, I think George will talk to you about an opportunity to go beyond just speaking and having some kind of work between the communities so that we can try to make a change for the better and see how we can influence what is happening outside the country, including locally, because, you know, this problem happened in '91, and lo and behold, they've been doing the same rascal kind of thing in the San Fernando Valley with temples and some churches and setting them on fire in the last few months. So this problem is not going to go away, and so we need to take some steps in the right direction. What is Islam? It's a new religion. It is not. It is the truth that God revealed to all His prophets throughout history. Islam is both a religion and it's a complete way of life. Muslims follow a religion of peace, mercy, and forgiveness that should not be associated with acts of violence against the innocent. Anybody is free to use the name of God and their interpretation, especially if they have a big mic, like some of these criminals do. But I know it's difficult for people to differentiate between what the true message is and what some of these people are trying to twist. Who are Muslims? There are estimated 1.2 billion Muslims worldwide. Not more than 20% of the Muslims live in Arabic-speaking world, and the largest population of any nation with Muslims is Indonesia, which is about 300 million. No, it's large, but combined, the Indian subcontinent has about 300 million people, but we are in 3 countries now: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Africa has about 250 million. Iran has 60 million. Europe has, believe it or not, 25 million. In the United States, we are in a race with our wonderful Jewish cousins. We are almost at par in population or more, depending upon the numbers. Some say we are 7 million, some say we are 5 million, but we have grown in the last 50 years. Even Australia has 1 million Muslims. What do Muslims believe in? Muslims believe in one unique and incomparable God. We believe in a day of judgment and individual accountability for actions. What that means is we come from the same faith, the 3 great religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, being the 3 great monotheistic religions. But we, Muslims and Jews, have more in common than the Christian cousins that we have, because they are monotheistic just like us. But, and this is, I think I can understand a fair number of things, but I still had not, and I attended the 3 lectures by the priests also, but this concept of Trinity is very difficult for Muslims for it to sink down, because just like you, we have a direct connection with God, and we do not need any intermediary. And so that's what my little colloquy about the similarities between Judaism. We also believe in the Day of Judgment, and we believe in the chain of prophets, beginning with Adam and including Noah, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Job, Moses, David, Solomon, and Jesus. God's eternal message was reaffirmed and finalized by the last prophet that we believe in, who is Muhammad, may peace be upon him. One becomes a Muslim by simply saying the Shahada, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And you can say it in English that there is no deity but God, and Muhammad is the final messenger of God. By this declaration, a person becomes a Muslim. What is this book called the Quran? The Quran is the record of the exact words revealed by God through the Archangel Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. It was memorized by the Prophet and then dictated to his companions. The text of the Quran was cross-checked during the life of the Prophet and consists of 114 chapters which have been unchanged over the centuries. You may have heard of it, but I need to repeat it. There are 5 pillars of Islam. The first pillar is what we just said, is the declaration of faith. This consists of the 2-sentence declaration that there is no deity save God and Muhammad is the last messenger. The second prayer, which is very important, is the 5 obligatory prayers each day. They are at sunrise, is the first one. The last one is in the evening. There's one at sunset, and there's 2 during the day. Islam has no hierarchical authority or priesthood. I say that as a Sunni Muslim. About 10% of the Muslims are Shia, and the Shia Muslims do have much more rigid rules about the priesthood, etc. That's why they have the titles like Ayatollah, which you have heard of. But in Sunni Islam, we are a little bit more freer, even though we have our schools of learning like Al-Azhar in Egypt. A learned Muslim is chosen to lead congregation in prayers. You do not need to be a priest. And if there's 2 Muslim or more Muslims at one time, you cannot pray alone. You have to choose an imam. And that's why I have used the term imam myself. You don't have to have religious standing, you just have to be able to lead a prayer, which is 5 times a day among your peers, etc. The other important pillar is called zakat, which is giving the alms, like I just talked about at the Seventh-day Adventists, to give tidings to, it's not to the church, but it's basically to the less fortunate, it's distributed to people in the community. This charitable giving purifies wealth by setting aside a portion that we have earned. This payment is basically about 2.5% of one's capital. Another people say that it's kind of like the net worth at the end of the year. It's really not an income tax, but it's more like a wealth tax. And so it's kind of a transfer of wealth from those who are very successful to the less needy. And it's obligatory, 2.5%. The other one that you probably know of, the 4th pillar, is fasting. Every year in the lunar month of Ramadan, Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset. This is another method of self-purification. And the fast is a complete fast. It includes drink as well as food, smoking, nothing basically. And that is kind of the easy part, to do to refrain from eating, drinking. Maybe a little bit more difficult in the summer, in the hot climate, because ours is a lunar calendar just like the Jewish people, and so it keeps on changing the seasons. And so when it comes in summer, the days, the fast is much longer, and if you are in a desert climate like Saudi Arabia, it naturally is more difficult. You get thirsty. Other than that, what it's not talked about is that is just the physical aspect. The other part is it's a training for being a good Muslim. And Islam, like I said, it's not just a religion, but it's a way of life. And so when you're fasting, you are to refrain from other bad deeds or things that would annoy God, that are against the principles of Islam. So in your business dealings, you have to be fair. You cannot be mistreating people. You cannot be using four-letter words. You cannot engage in any kind of sexual activity because you need to concentrate on the hereafter and other good things. So that is also an important part of, and it's for 30 days, 29, 30 days, depending upon the lunar year. And the final pillar is pilgrimage, which is known as Hajj to Mecca, and that is once in a lifetime if you are in good health and if you can afford it. So if you are poor and you cannot afford it, you're not allowed to charge it on a MasterCard. You have to have money in the bank for the trip and the hotel expenses, etc. We do have some dietary requirements similar to our Jewish cousins. We are prohibited from eating pork, and we also are prohibited completely from alcohol, so we cannot have wine even or beer. Muslims follow certain standards called halal, or permissible, of slaughter of meat and poultry. And we are making strides in this country and in this state because we have, according to numbers, we have almost 1 million Muslims in California, maybe a few less. But the Assembly just passed a bill where, just like the kosher stamp, there is a halal stamp available, and shopkeepers and slaughterhouses have to go through some procedures to qualify so that people can buy the meat that is slaughtered in the proper fashion that Islam requires. As far as clothing, that's kind of a hot topic with a lot of people. It requires both men and women to dress and behave modestly. Muslims believe that modesty allows the individual to be valued based on their skills and contributions to the community rather than physical attributes. Even though the religion is from God, we do have, and it's a true religion, and that's our faith. We have certain things that happen due to societal mores, etc. And the men are supposed to dress modestly also, and there is nowhere in the Quran that I know of that women are supposed to wear a veil or that they have to go to some of the extents that we find in the Muslim countries. I can go into more depth into that later on. It's unbelievable, but Dearborn, Michigan has 30% of its population which is Muslim, and I believe a large majority of them are of Arabic descent. There are now, by the grace of God, about 2,000 mosques and Islamic centers in America, and about 88 of these are right here in Southern California. And we have about 4 or 5 in Ventura County, I believe. What this means is, when I came to this blessed land in 1971, growing up in the 70s, there was only one Islamic center, which was an old home on St. Andrew's Place in Mid-Wilshire area. And I was in Orange County, and I'm sure there were people in Van Nuys or Ventura, and it was kind of difficult to offer prayers or go to perform our religious obligations. But now we have a lot of the places. Unfortunately, we have the same problems that you and I all have with the fast pace of life. And Friday is the day of Sabbath for us, and we do have Friday prayers in the mid-afternoon, which a lot of people are able to attend and take a longer lunch from work. But we are not able to take the day off for prayer and meditation, etc. The day that we end up, most of the Islamic centers have chosen for educating the children and for having adult education so that we can learn the scriptures and learn more is on Sundays. And we have a beautiful Islamic center now on Borchard Road, which we started from from meeting in a home in Agora, then renting a place which is a Holy Trinity Church on Los Arbolos for Sundays and only. And I think then we got Fridays also. Then we were for a long time in an industrial building on Lavery Court. And that's where Rabbi Greenbaum was gracious enough to come, and members of this community in 1991 when we had the 3 prayer services praying for peace during the last Iraq war or Iraq massacre, as some of us in that part of the world call it. Then we purchased this building and we have renovated it. The thing that I wanted to say is that we have prayers, but the place is not as well occupied and as it should be, and we are working on it to try to have an Islamic school there, just like you folks have a wonderful Jewish school over here, which is growing by leaps and bounds, so that the next generation does not lose it and they know about what our religion is and what our values are. I have some charts which I cannot show you because there's no PowerPoint, but a question was asked about Muslim participation in American society of Muslims, and these charts were made by, it's a wonderful group, you may have heard of it, the abbreviation is CAIR, and it's not C-A-R-E but C-A-I-R. It stands for Council on American Islamic Relations. They have a head office in Washington, D.C., and they have now, by the grace of God, about 4 offices or maybe 5 or 6 in California. I'm familiar with the office in Anaheim, and they provided the material for much of my talk, which was in PowerPoint or is in PowerPoint. And they asked this question: should Muslims be involved